Careful. Right.
Glad somebody does.
We're lying down. I don't know yet. I want to see how many people there are. Grab cushions and mats as you come in. Depending on how many there are, we're going to lie down or not. Let's try lying down, but that means lying very close to each other. So grab cushions and mats. All the cushions you need in meditation, but you'll need to lie down very close to each other, risking intimacy with public face. We can do that. So go over there, grab cushions and mats. All the mats, cushions you need in meditation. We're going to try to lie down first, but that will mean quite a bit of communication with each other so that you don't lie on top of each other. That would not be good. Yes, so come in, come on and grab yourself a cushion and mat. Everybody sitting here, come right to the front where you can lie down. We'll put our heads facing west. But you'll need to lie very close to each other. So put the mats so they're touching each other. You don't need to actually touch each other.
Heads facing. Oh, heads facing west, right.
We're trying to avoid that. But,
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I was about to, as is my way, get it wrong.
Clean socks. Because my head's going to be one.
Okay. They're pretty clear.
2 days, 2 days.
So yeah, again, so have heads facing west. And put your mats quite close to each other. That's perfect. You can relax, you can chill out. So everyone has their head facing that way. So you want a cushion for your the bony part of your head, and you want your knees up. And if you find that a bit tricky, you can put your feet slightly apart and let your knees drop together to support your legs. There needs to be a bit of an angle going on, but that's working all right. You're getting it. There's more spaces over here. We can move chairs. We can put you on the shrine to worship you. There's a space over there as well, so there's plenty of space. As soon as you've laid down, I'll just walk over you and probably tread on people, but that'll be fine. Just closing your eyes. So if you let's get this space over here on the shrine, that's fine. Yeah, some of you are sitting up, that's fine as well. And just make sure that your head is just on the bony part of your head is just on the cushion rather than your neck, so that your neck can be a bit free. Yeah? And just have one cushion, not two. We didn't expect to be quite as intimate as this, but there we go. You're all right. They come in, that's fine. I don't know where you go though. Yes, you can go at the. Yeah, try not to tread on it. Okay, so now you're settled, so you can just have this lovely moment of just forgetting everything. I want to explore something very profound this evening. So, really the best way to start to explore anything of any more value is just to relax for a bit first. Nowadays there is so much, as they say, in our head, which is really so much on screen, that it's very difficult to take in anything of any real substance. So all you need to do just now is just sort of forget your day, forget your worries and jobs and responsibilities, and just come back to the weight of your body on the floor. And the main thing to do to start to relax is just to feel the support of the ground underneath you. Just the relief of having your back on the ground. Your body actually likes that. And as soon as you feel your back on the ground, it sort of sends a message to your nervous system that you can now relax. I'll talk us through relaxation. And if you fall asleep, it's probably because you need to fall asleep, and that's a good thing. So first of all, see if you can relax your face. So you can soften your eyes. And soften your brow. See if you can release your jaw. And you can just notice the weight of your head on the cushion. So you really give your head to the cushion. Your head is heavy. Your brow is soft, your eyes are soft. And you can feel the whole of your back on the floor. It's as if your back is spreading out on the floor. And you can't make that happen, but you can just imagine your back lengthening and widening on the floor. heavy and warm on the ground. It's almost as if the ground is coming up to meet your back. And you can help your back relax on the floor by softening your belly. Really now allowing your belly to let go. So your lower back drops down onto the ground. And again, if you let your arms be heavy, that will help your back relax. So even your hands, you can just check that you're not slightly gripping with your hand. So it's like your whole body is just settling down more and more, which means your mind can open out more and more. So your head is heavy on the cushions. Your back is heavy on the ground. Your belly is soft. And there's this sense of your whole system calming down, quieting down. Your body is heavy and warm. Your head is heavy. Your arms are heavy. Your legs are heavy. Roll over onto the side facing the shrine, and then I'm not going to do it yet, so just carry on landing. And then we're going to get up and set ourselves up in meditation. But as I always say, there's no rush to do that. So the temptation as soon as we move is to try to get your mind to go to the kind of the end of the movement. So let's try to just stay grounded in the body, in the weight of the body. And then when you're ready, rolling over towards the shrine. And just lying on your side for a minute. And tuning into that sense of kind of ease and well-being, relaxation. We want to take that sense into the meditation. We don't want to disturb that. So when you're ready, without rushing, setting yourself up. Making sure you've got all the cushions and that. There's no rush to just sort of almost enjoy setting yourself up. Make sure you've got a cushion for your hands. There's a space here. Grab some cushions as well. You want support for your hands. If you're coming a bit regularly, it's worth talking to one of the audience and getting them to look at your meditation posture. We're not teaching it as much as we used to. Some of your postures leave something to be desired. I mean that in a really nice Buddhist way. So when you're ready, closing your eyes. As soon as you close your eyes, just bringing your attention into your body again. And there's no sense of sort of changing gear now. We're not suddenly doing this different thing. We're just carrying on relaxing, primarily. Bringing your attention into the weight of your body, dropping down through the ground. Even have this sense of your weight dropping into the ground underneath you. Just that imaginative sense will actually start to change your feeling sense. Yeah? So much of meditation is really about imagination. So all you need to do is feel the contact of your body with the cushions or the chair, with the floor. Just have this simple sense of your weight dropping down and the whole of your psychophysical system calming down, quieting down. just check that you're not gripping in your belly. We easily do that instinctively, habitually, but it does affect our mind. Just check you're not gripping your shoulders, pulling your shoulders up towards your ears. Again, that becomes kind of automatic. Your eyes are soft, your brow is soft. See if you can soften your mouth. And very often when we stop all our activity, we notice there's quite a bit of disease and discomfort in the body. And actually, strange enough, you need to just relax into that. Sort of welcome it in your mind, let any discomfort be there. Just takes the time to change gear. That's why it's important to stay for the whole evening. Your face is soft, your eyes are soft. You can just let go a bit more of your shoulders, or just imagine them letting go. Let go of your belly. Tuning into your breath, particularly following your breath out, all the way out. you're not narrowing to do that, you're just feeling the body sitting here, comfortably relaxed, nothing much to do. And you just include the breath, really simply. And then come back to your weight on the ground. The sense that your weight is dropping down through the ground beneath you. That you're fully supported by the cushions of the chair. Don't carry on sitting because you will meditate more later on. So this is I've been doing these 3 sessions here at the Wednesday class. Who's been here for 3? Some of you good, we're going to stick a book. Yeah. I've been mainly trying to explore devotion. One of the things that's happening with the teaching of meditation in the West, or at least the westernized world, is it's being taken more and more out of context. And it's a sort of a modern, even a postmodern instinct, is to find the bits you like, take them out of context, and then teach. Mindfulness is, they've been being taught a lot out of context, I found. But if you take something out of context, you change its nature. The whole of what we call in the West Buddhism, there's no word in Buddhism that means Buddhism actually, but the whole of what we call Buddhism is, as it were, one thing. It's one vision of life and one approach to life that's unified and coherent, and it takes into account every aspect of yourself, the inner aspect, the outer aspect, the social aspect, the political aspect, the cultural aspect, the psychological aspect, the spiritual aspect, so to speak, to think like that, yeah? If you want to make progress as a human being, you need to make progress in all of those ways. The temptation with Buddhist meditation is to think, oh, well, I'll just do that kind of spiritual internal bit. Meanwhile, I'll, shop till I drop. But, I get to do some breath work between hand. That is, a sort of pastiche parody of how modern Buddhism can be taught. So what I've been trying to emphasize is the traditional, as it were, context, which starts not with meditation, not even really with Buddhism. It starts with what I've been calling devotion, or at least the traditional word is bhakti. A sense, and I translate devotion as being a sense of being in a universe which is inherently meaningful, and which you are in direct contact with, and that contact feels joyous, it feels beneficent, you feel yourself to be in touch with a living universe that you can commune with. That's really the basis of all world religions. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, everything. The deep assumption of all religion, and human beings have been primarily religious creatures until very recently in the westernized world. And actually there's many philosophers are saying we're even more religious now, it's just we're religious in a different way. We have very strong beliefs which we think are facts, but are really just metaphysical beliefs, like we believe in materialism and so on in the metaphysical sense. So this religious instinct is the instinct that my sense of myself is connected with something infinite, with something ineffable. Yeah? And out of that arises this sense of devotion, of love, of wonder, of beauty, of connectedness. Yeah? The reason I've been talking about it is because I've recently come back from India, which is getting further and further away from me, and it's my party and I'll cry if I want to. I'm really feeling the absence of India. I mean, I was only there for not very long. I'm talking about my time in India, so I was there for at least 3 years. It might have been somewhere around 2 weeks. It had a very profound effect on me. So yes, I'm arguing on this little seminar that this devotional sense, this sense of being part of something infinitely greater, is the basis on which a deeper exploration of reality needs to take place. Without it, especially modern westernized people will tend to try to explore reality, and even the reality of their mind, in an overly intellectual, an overly analytical way. There's been real pros in that instinct in the westernized world to be analytical and so on. And I don't want to, I'm not dismissing that. It's just that it's gone, we've lost too much on the way, is a better putting of it, yeah? I was thinking about going to the dentist, for instance. When you go to the dentist, you're really pleased with science, technology. You couldn't be more pleased. You definitely want science and technology when you go to the dentist. You do not want to go back to the Victorian age. So we mustn't, by talking about devotion and bhakti, I'm not trying to say against science and technology. Actually, the two things aren't as distinct as they're cracked up to be. So I'm not trying to say that the analytical intellectual approach is necessarily a problem, but we've left too much behind, especially if you're interested in a search for, a quest for the nature of reality, which is what Buddhism is concerned with. Yeah? Especially if you're interested, and you may or may not be, with the larger questions like, who am I, where do I come from, what is a good life, what is not a good life, all of those fundamental questions, which very often people kind of put aside as they grow up and just get on with the business of living. And by doing that, our lives become much smaller. So that's what I've been sort of emphasising. The thing I wanted to emphasise two extra parts of it tonight, and then after tea I'll say a bit more. But the first thing is the simple way which most modern philosophers are now talking about what we've lost. If we think we've gained things, dentistry as being a good example, as soon as you go to a dentist, you're really pleased that they have a computer, for instance, and that they can do things like x-ray your teeth with little things they put in, But what we've lost is a sense of enchantment, yeah? That's largely what we've lost, is a sense of being enchanted. We've actually not just lost it, but very often people talk as if they're superior to it, as if we're just too clever for that now. Those are nice little stories we had in the past, religious stories, myths, and so on. But we've all grown up, and we're too clever for all that now. I recently interviewed Rupert Sheldrake, the biologist, and he was saying one of the main gains you get from being a materialist is feeling that you're cleverer than everybody else. And he said, otherwise it's a really grim worldview, but at least you get to feel smart, yeah? And that's part of our disenchantment, is that we, I easily feel like, yeah, but we kind of know better, and if we don't know everything, we soon will. Yeah? That is our modern and postmodern assumption, that we kind of pretty much know it all, and if we don't, any bits and bobs still left, like the nature of consciousness, which nobody knows about, we'll kind of get that sorted in a few years, yeah? It's a kind of pop version of it. So we're disenchanted is how it's often talked about. So what disenchantment means is, I want to talk about that in two ways, and then before the tea break, and then a bit more perhaps after the tea break. Firstly, we're disenchanted from nature. We even call it the natural world, but from nature. And what that really means is we no longer feel a kind of resonance with it. If you think that's not true, go and sit in Westfield for a bit, and you'll certainly feel disenchanted from nature. It's very interesting, isn't it, Westfield or anything like it? Everything is created, even the breeze isn't real, it's all manufactured. I can't remember what the stats are, but in America, that millions of people go to their wildlife in national parks to try and get away from the equivalent of Westfield. So the first thing we've lost in our disenchantment is a sense of a living connection with nature. I mean, there's attempts to get that back. It's very easy. The tendency for westernized people is to do that sentimentally. A friend of mine was getting into tree hugging, and I had to tell him off. The trees don't like it. it's very easy to sort of get into it sort of sentiment, again with an idea really. But until relatively recently, human beings found a very strong sense of resonance with the natural world, even the sense that they were in communication with the natural world, with nature itself, that nature showed itself importance in all kinds of things. You felt that you were in connection with nature. Interestingly, the strongest time I ever feel that is when I'm on retreat. All of these things, mostly you need to go on retreat to experience, because you simply can't dip into a class and expect to experience all this. But on retreat, you do start to feel something more like an animistic relationship with nature. The trees start to feel alive, and even sort of, they always feel like they turn to you. I particularly felt this on intensive retreats I've done, where you start to feel like nature itself is starting to almost turn towards you a bit. Of course, as soon as you think about that, it turns away. And sometimes literally it turns towards you. I remember on a solitary retreat just sitting in a chair for ages, doing nothing, and this great big hare came towards me, and you could see he was thinking, is that a stone or a bit of tree? And then he eventually got really close to it. It was like a blessing to see it, and he sort of, oh my God, it's a human being. I was probably really shocked because I wasn't on my phone. Otherwise I would have noticed. But the natural world will actually come to you if you're quiet enough, if you let the space come back. Yeah? And everybody knows this. We all feel this absence. But disenchantment is this sense of feeling separate from it. And a part of that is this idea that technology will eventually completely dominate the natural world. We'll just manage it with technology. Which of course is an absurd idea, but that's the general thought. The other thing that we're disenchanted, that we no longer feel resonance with, is each other. Strangely enough, it's not just, well, we feel a lack of reverence for three things. We don't feel a resonance with the natural world. We don't feel anymore, very often, much resonance with each other. And we don't feel a resonance with something that we might call divine. Yeah? That's what disenchanted means. You'll hear that word quite a lot, probably in sort of various circles. That's really what it means. You feel separate from the natural world and don't feel a resonance with it. This kind of intrinsic animistic sense that was our natural state of being until very, very recently, historically. We don't feel, often enough, we don't feel a real sense of resonance with each other. We might get on perfectly well and be able to talk on text and so on. But we don't very often feel in deep communion with each other. Even in sex. Sorry to bring that up. But we're all grown-up people. Often enough you don't actually feel any very much deep communion in that either. It's marketed like anything else. It's very, very wonderful when you do feel in very deep communion with people. I live in a community upstairs, and at our best there's this very subtle but very strong sense of communion with each other, which basically means a kind of crossing over of minds and interpenetration of minds, which is really what you're trying to do in sex. It just doesn't work. Anything else? Let's not go there. Keep trying, obviously. Don't give up on it until my age. Distraction over. But you know what I mean? We don't. Part of that is also that increasingly we don't have any common references that makes us feel that. And that's a real show. We used to live in a very strong sense of community, and we've lost that very much. Yeah? Actually, there's every possibility for it now. In fact, that's what we're trying to do here at the LBC, is not just teach meditation, valuable though that is. We're especially trying to create a community, an intergenerational, international, diverse community, bounded and unified in this deep sense of a resonance with each other, with each other's special humanity, not with their race, their gender, their whatever, but with their deep humanity, which touches our humanity. Yeah? And then thirdly, we've lost any sense of reverence, very many of us in the Westernized world, not everybody. Remember, most people in the world still believe in God. It's only us few in this little bubble of the Westernized world that don't, but most people still do. But many of us have lost any sense of connection with the divine. Yeah? And Buddhism doesn't really have a divine in the sense that Western thought does, because Buddhism doesn't believe in that split between divine and secular. But if you think of it as a metaphor for being in touch with a kind of higher consciousness, that might belong to you or not, it goes beyond you or not, no, you don't need to worry about that. But the sense of being in contact with the divine is really a sense of being in touch with a kind of higher context, a higher consciousness. Yeah? So really all of those things are about being disenchanted from something ineffable. So if you really are with the natural world, for a long period of time, I was on a month solitary last year, and you're not on your phone, you put your phone away and you just sat there for days, gradually, you start to find your way back to something like a resonance with the natural world. And what you feel about the natural world is that it's ineffable. In other words, you can't grasp it, you can't get to the bottom of it. It keeps sort of opening itself to you. You keep seeing things you haven't seen. It sort of endlessly discloses itself in a very subtle way. It's not a big deal. So there's this the ineffable in nature, which we're disenchanted from. Then there's the ineffable in each other. One of the things I want to keep emphasizing about we human beings is there is something ineffable about us. We are not just our identities of any kind, male, female, straight, gay, cisgender, transgender, whatever. They're actually fairly superficial matters, which we've weirdly got preoccupied with recently. What we're trying to do is realize that there's something ineffable about myself, just as there is about you. There is something you can never grasp about yourself. You still don't really know what yourself is. There is something that leads the way into the ineffable. And that's like a sacred mystery. Yeah? And that's why meditation is so important, because you're trying to live in that state of the ineffable self. I've been in a bit of a grump the last few days, and I really don't know why. It's not ineffable, but it's a bit I literally do not know what. I keep saying, hello, what's going on down there? No answer. And you're probably like that as well at times, you know. Psyche leads off into the dark. There's something ineffable about us. And that is our majesty. And at our deepest and best, we can kind of share that with each other and meet at that level. And I have done that on many occasions, and I'm sure you have. But we're disenchanted from that as well. And then we're disenchanted from this sense of being in relationship to a higher kind of consciousness, which is what the Buddha represents. That's why we have the Buddha figure in the shrine. Yeah? So what we'll do just now is meditate again, and we'll just imagine ourselves as not disenchanted. Yeah? And that'll lead us through that. And then we'll have a cup of tea then. And then we're going to do a ritual after the tea, and I want to say a bit more about what ritual does, and then we're going to really do one properly this time. So setting yourself up to meditate. And again, as soon as you close your eyes, bringing your attention into your body. And your body might be comfortable or uncomfortable. And you can just open up to it however it is. And try and sit completely still. And then in a light way, not making a big deal of it, but just see if you can imagine that you're in a world not of things, inert, dead things, which is how we tend to think of it, but you're in a world of consciousness. That it's not just that you're conscious, but you're inside consciousness. And that feels enchanted, ineffable, open-ended. And just imagine that, just see if you can find ways of opening up to that imaginatively. And every now and then just keep coming back to your body to ground your imagination in your direct experience. to your weight on the cushions of the chair. Taking in the sounds around you. See if you can let go into the cushions of the chair. So we'll go and have a cup of tea just now. You can hear the people already there. And then after tea, I'll say more about these matters, and we'll do a special ritual tonight, and I'll tell you later on why. Don't need a why, actually. or not if you're a Buddhist, because, you know, I'm very sure I'm I don't know since I don't live out of that. I'm trying to I've got a teacher, that's a very ordinary tradition. I've got a teacher, I've got a practice, understanding the ritual of what tradition of it. Wouldn't have it wouldn't have been self-conscious. We need a new. See, Buddhism never had that. It's really some more. Sorry? That's all the sounds pretty much yeah, but all in there,
That's not because different regions might correspond to different states.
no, entirely, but all different there's a lot of Western there's no need to sort of fears get around the so like fears, but you have to get around the gone, or like the divinity, or like the person, and you make them feel well, we're all really getting to the problem. If you go back to the walk, all you need to do is do it.
The weirdness is
yeah, you want to see even distortions, oversimplifications, or actually degeneracy, degenerative ways. Even when it came to it, it's packaged quite consciously for it. You know, they dropped lots of things that they thought was through their mind.
I don't want to miss you.
I'd like to meet up for coffee and talk more about it. You've got let's make a note, just email me.
I don't know, so I got back to you, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, great. You will be on the team, that'd be great. It's quite sensible, this guy. Okay, so what we're going to do in this final part of the class is we'll meditate in the Buddhist context. It was very striking. I keep going on about being at the Bodhi Temple, Bodhi Temple. It was very striking. There were supposed to be 15,000 Tibetan monks there. There was certainly a good few thousand. And actually, often they don't meditate very much. Actually, but that's another story. But you would never consider doing a meditation as a Westerner would, where you just sit down and just sort of, it's like really weird. It would be actually really very undignified to do that, and kind of gross, like gross. I can't remember how I told that story here, but I was bowing to the shrine, and my mala, where you count your beads, touched the floor, and this young Tibetan guy said, no, don't do that. Don't let your mala touch the floor. He's living in a world where such things are sacred. They're not just things to count mantras on, they're actually sacred, and you shouldn't let them touch the floor. I was very struck by that because it's very easy to think the West is very sophisticated and refined, and whatever they call the developing world is not. But in many ways, that's a much more refined, integral instinct than a modern one. Anyway, so what we're going to do, we're going to meditate, but we'll do this ritual puja as part before that. So I'll tell you a bit, and we'll do the kind of logistics. So what will happen is we'll do it in call and response, and as I said last week, just respond. You're not going to get hurt. They're just words. Just do it as Nike says. See how it affects you. You'll be fine. All you need to know is you're not worshipping any kind of deity. Buddhism doesn't have any place for any kind of deity. So you're really taking place in a kind of religious drama, and I'll say more about that in a minute. And then we'll do the call and response. I'll read a part on my own as well, and then we'll finish with a mantra. At the end of the mantra will die down. And then the idea is, at the end of a mantra, you always, any slight movement you do when the mantra is sounding, and we'll invite you up to make offerings if you want to. And the idea of a mantra, one of the many things of a mantra is you then make an offering, you sit down, you get yourself comfortable again, and then when it goes into silence, you don't move a muscle. You just enter into this incredible silence at the end of a ritual. And actually, if you're at all sensitive, and you don't need to be even that sensitive, you'll find that the silence at the end of a ritual is much more pregnant than the silence in a meditation. If the ritual's gone at all well, you feel this kind of resonance in that silence. So we'll practice. In other words, we'll practice meditation as any traditional Buddhist throughout time. From the very early Pali suttas all the way up through all the different traditions to now, pretty much this is how people have done it. We'll do that. So to do that, what we need to do is all move, everyone at the front here move back a bit, and let's move those cushions and mats there from the front. Because I want to have a bit of a space at the front so we can make offerings if we want to. So everyone just sort of juggle back a bit. That's fine. But then in the offering section, if you want to, you can come and light a stick of incense, or you can light a wee tea light and put it on the glass in front of you. Human beings have made offerings since the beginning of time. And again, the action of making an offering, which we now think is terribly religious, and we think we're either frightened of that or feel superior to that. But the action of making an offering is just that action of, I'm definitely in a world where I don't understand things, I don't know things, I want to learn, I want to be open to things, I don't want to think I know everything. You're just making an offering to the mystery of life. You're not making an offering to any kind of God, including the Buddha. The Buddha is not a God. In fact, it was supposed to be a slander if you called the Buddha a God, because it was denigrating him. Yeah? He's much more than that. So we'll chant a mantra, and if you want to, you'll make an offering, and then I'll just talk you through the stages in terms of their sort of what they mean spiritually. The idea of this ritual, and really probably any substantial Buddhist ritual, is it's a dramatic recapitulation of the whole of your spiritual life, your human journey, yeah, from where you are now to full and complete enlightenment. Imaginatively, you become the Buddha doing this. Yeah, one of the things that's different from Buddhism from any other world religion is that you become a Buddha. You don't just worship them. Yeah? The whole point is to worship the Buddha so you become more like him until you become him. Yeah, so this ritual goes through a drama in which that happens, and then you just sit at the end in that transfigured state. But you see, like all drama comes from ritual. In fact, all the arts pretty much come from ritual. You know, mantra turns into song and music. The verses turn into poetry. You know, they're all of what we in the West call the arts. All have their home from religion, really, and from religious ritual. And it's worth remembering that you're playing something out. Not in a game-playing way, in a sort of serious way, but not too serious. Lovely, again, being a Bodh Gaya, that everyone does it very, very naturally, that they don't do it totally self-consciously. It's got a real sense of ease and relaxation. Yeah? So you're trying to play out this drama in a ritual. It's an as-if practice, yeah? You act as if this is the case. You don't need to think about whether it's the case or not. That's not very interesting. It's just like at the moment I'm going to see the Ring Cycle at York Hall, of all places, which is 4 operas, a tetralogy of operas. Last night was 5 hours long. Tomorrow night will be 5 hours long as well. Anyway, I love it, but there you go. It's not for everyone. But, you know, you have to enter into the drama. It's no use sitting there thinking, but hang on, you know, I don't know, whatever, then that isn't a god, he's not a god, you know, etc., etc. You have to enter into the drama for it to move you. If you don't, if you feel critical and distant and superior, guess what? You don't get to enjoy it. I mean, even if you go and see Bridget Jones Mad About the War, you know, it's no good sitting there going, yeah, but she's a bit old for it, and how many operations has she had, and all that sort of thing. And yeah, he's gorgeous, but it's not really a character, you know, which you can get into. He is gorgeous, so he doesn't have enough to do. You have to sort of just say, look, you know what it's like on the packet. You have to get into the drama, don't you? Otherwise, well, of course, it won't do anything. And all of that comes from ritual. It's a drama, and you have to get into the drama as if it's all true, and then it will really move you. It won't move you at all if you think, it's all a bit silly. Of course it won't. Nothing, you know, no film or play would ever move you if you had that point of view. But you actually know how to do it in film. But when we get to religious ritual, everyone goes a bit like, ooh, you know, because you have to move about. Anyway, so just join in the drama. So the first stage of the drama is that it's called the worship section. That's what I've been focusing on these 3 weeks, is this need to worship. You need to start with a sense of worship. And traditionally this is supposed to be the first glimpse of the mountain. Yeah? And I was saying the other week that when I went up to Nepal, we had this day where we went to these caves where Padmasambhava, another Buddhist figure, was reputed to have gained enlightenment. And it was, some of it was lovely, some of it was really like we were diddled, you know, immediately they give you a candle, you need to offer this candle, so we offer this candle, and they tell you how much you need to pay them. You know, and then this guy was chanting, I thought, you don't know this chant, do you? And I did. You know. But we came out, you know, for me that hadn't been as much of a miracle as I'd hoped. We came out, and as we were going back down into Kathmandu, the weather slightly changed, and suddenly you saw the snow-clad mountains of the Himalayas. And it's amazing because you think the horizon's there, and it's there. And it is like the arrival of the newest gods. It was quite, for me, it was like, I've never seen them before. And you just thought they shouldn't be up there, they're just far, you know, it's incredible, yeah? So the worship section of a puja is that moment where you realise that there's something much bigger, much grander, much more beautiful, like the appearance of the Himalayas, that you didn't know was even there. You hadn't even noticed it. You'd been in this city world of smog and pollution. You'd never noticed it. Yeah? So it's that moment of, oh, there is much more to life than I'd realised. That's what the worship section represents. And don't worry about the words, they're all very old-fashioned. They're from a 8th century, possibly Indian teacher. And I think it was last week I managed to get both of my geography quotes wrong. Zizek is not Polish, he's Slovenian, and Shantideva is not Tibetan, he's Indian. Anyway, I'm not great on facts, to be honest. So if there are any facts, take them with a pinch of salt. I'm good on atmosphere, but not on facts. Poetry is rot in my brain. Anyway, so you won't necessarily get it from the words. Don't worry about the words. Just they just tumble out, you know. But basically, you're trying to communicate in this rather archaic way. Wow, there is much more to life than I realised. The next stage, salutation, is you see that there's a difference between you and the vision. So in the worship section, you're just confronted by, as it were, the Himalayas. Then you see how far you are away from it. You see that there's this incredible gulf between you and the Himalayas. So the salutation means to bow. You know, you bow to that mystery and that magnitude, knowing that you're much smaller. Yeah? That's what the salutation section means. The third section is called going for refuge. So what this means is that you've seen that life is much bigger than you imagined. You feel devotion for that, which is a simple human emotion, a pre-Buddhist, pre-religious emotion, and people have had it whether they're religious or not. You know, if you read Wordsworth, Tintin Abbey, it's all about that, really. Yeah. So you feel yourself to be in touch with something infinitely larger. Your instinct is to revere that, this very human instinct which we've kind of lost touch with very, very tragically. And that's why we've got this dreadful meaning crisis in the westernized world, because we have nothing to revere anymore. We revere ourselves, and that's about it. So this third stage is saying, okay, there is more to life than I knew. I do feel that revering for it. I actually want to become it. I don't want to just revere it. So going for refuge means I want to close the gap between me and the ideal. Yeah? I want to actually move towards the ideal. And I want to do it starts this very day I go for my refuge. This very day, now, in this moment, I'm going to actually move towards the ideal. That's what I want to do. That's what my life wants to be about. And then after that, we have we usually have chants and mantras, but we won't do that tonight. But after that, we have the confession of faults. Someone came up to me at the end of last week and said this was a bit they really didn't like. Particularly the word evil. It starts, the evil I have heaped up. Yeah? And he was saying, is that a translation thing? And I said, no, because the word that's translated is papa, which means evil. So that doesn't help us at all. But it's a drama. It's got two elements to it. The first is you're imagining that you by now are very, very developed, and you're looking back at yourself as you were when you started the puja, and saw how basically egotistical and self-centered and mean you are. But saw that very, very directly and shamefully, yeah? But it's a drama, so you're acting as if that's the case, yeah? If we did it in prose, you'd end up saying, you know, occasionally I'm not great, I know that, and sometimes I vaguely regret that. I'd be good if I didn't, I know, but actually it's their fault. That's how you do it if it was in prose, but it doesn't make a drama, yeah? So you say, the evil that I have heaped up, you know. In other words, you really take that on, that you've done things that from the point of view of your new consciousness that you're already developing the puja, you regret, deeply regret. And actually it's a very beautiful feeling when you have that. I've at times felt it very, very strongly, a deep sense of remorse, not irrational guilt, but a deep sense of remorse for acting in ways that are beneath you. Yeah, Buddhism has always really valued that experience. It doesn't have any place for guilt. But it puts a lot of value on what Buddhism would translate as shame. The trouble is it all gets confused because of the translation. It means hri, which means to blush. There's that sense of cringe. Yeah? It really values that and says that's a positive state. Yeah? But you have to, us Westernized people have to distinguish that from irrational guilt, which is very, very unhealthy. Yeah? And one of the reasons we're nervous of religion is because it easily provokes irrational guilt. Irrational guilt itself is something you have to confess. Irrational guilt is like a disease, a mental disease. It has no value at all. So there. Anyway, but in the drama, what it means is, okay, I want to move towards this ideal. As soon as you try to move towards something greater than yourself, you notice what holds you back. Yeah? So the confession section is simply feeling weighed down by negativity, yeah? And you just want to get rid of that. Yeah? That's really what it means in terms of the drama. You want to move towards the ideal and you feel held back. Then because you've done that, because you've let go of all the things that are holding back, you have the next section, which is rejoicing in merit. So you feel, once you have really acknowledged the evil in the context of this puja that you've done, you feel much, much lighter, much brighter, much happier. You rejoice in yourself, you rejoice in anyone who's made any progress. So you have this verse of rejoicing, yeah? Because you feel, okay, I can now make progress. Yeah? And then you have this entreaty and supplication. So in the drama of the ritual, by now you're in a very, very elevated state. And you sort of imagine that you're now in this very, very elevated, very kind of pure state of consciousness. From that state of consciousness, and not before it, you have this entreaty and supplication, which is basically you ask for a teaching. Yeah? You ask to know the truth about reality. Yeah? And tonight what I'll do is I'll just read you the teaching that you usually recite in unison, but I'll just read it on my own. And just see if you can just open up. The idea is, that in the drama is that you're now at a point where you can open up to this teaching. You can't open up to it with your everyday mind, but in this point you can. And in the drama of the puja, you then gain enlightenment because you've understood the teaching. You become enlightened when you hear this teaching. If you do, that'd be great because you could then take over from me. So at the end of this teaching, which there's a little mantra at the end that you can join in on, there's the last section of the puja, which is called transference of merit and self-surrender. So because you're now enlightened, you want everyone to gain enlightenment. Yeah? The great principle of any positive emotion is you want to share it. Yeah? Unfortunately, we share negative emotion quite often on Facebook and Instagram, but the real instinct is to share anything that we've gained, is you want other people to gain that as well. So at the end of this puja, this ritual, you chant the transference of merit and self-surrender. You would do it in call and response. And then I'll lead us in a mantra. And if you want to, you can come forward, bow at the shrine, light some incense, light a candle. And as with any drama, you don't want to be too analytic about what that means. I was leading a retreat a while ago, and I was saying to people, surely you don't need me to explain what lighting a candle means. Like guys, like in Nepal they have these tables and tables of butter lamps which are lighted. You don't need, you just do the action, and the action is the meaning. You don't need to sort of think, yeah, but hang on, what am I doing? Who am I talking to? That's you stepping out of the drama, if you mean. It's like you suddenly deciding while you're watching a film, oh, you've seen this person in that other film and they weren't, you're just stepping out of the drama, which means it just won't mean very much to you. As soon as we step out of drama, it stops being an enchantment, doesn't it? And that's what it's like if you've gone to a film that you've been really moved by and your friend thought was irritating, and they start talking immediately the film's finished and say, oh no, it wasn't very good. And you want to stay in that enchantment, don't you? You just want to stay with the credits rolling and stay in that kind of lovely feeling. And it's really irritating if the person you're with wants to talk immediately, either about nothing, or criticising the film. You just want to be with the spell that you've been left with. And the ritual is exactly the same. It all comes from ritual. So yeah, if you want to, we'll make an offering. Then we'll go back to meditation. And then really try and set yourself up so you don't need to move at all as the mantra dies down. And then you just go into meditation, but you don't try to meditate. You don't try to do anything or not do anything. You just sit completely still, being open to whatever there is. Yeah? You don't try and do anything. And then what we'll do, as we have been each week, is we'll remain silent in here, and then when you're ready, we can put our cushions and mats to the side in silence, and then we can start talking once we go and get our coat. Yeah? So that it's a bit like the end of the film. You want to stay in that mood, that enriched, kind of enchanted mood. You can see that the arts are the last enchantments. They're the attempt to keep that sense of enchantment alive. Unfortunately, even that's dying in the arts, I think, quite a lot, because it's been ironized and postmodernized and so on. Anyway, let's not go there. So let's get ourselves set up for the ritual and for the meditation now. As soon as you close your eyes, again, just bringing your awareness into your body. So, puja is an imaginative practice, it's an as-if practice, it's a drama that we're participating in. And imagination comes from the body, it's not a sort of idea, it's not a fantasy. Bringing your attention into your body, to the weight of your body on the cushions and the chair. Just preparing by softening your belly, softening your eyes, softening your shoulders. with Mandarava, blue lotus and jasmine.
With Mandarava, blue lotus and jasmine.
With all flowers pleasing and fragrant.
With all flowers pleasing and fragrant.
And with garlands skillfully woven.
And with garlands skillfully woven.
I pay honour to the princes of the sages.
I pay honour to the princes of the sages.
So worthy of veneration.
So worthy of veneration.
I envelop them in clouds of incense.
I envelop them in clouds of incense.
Sweet and penetrating.
Sweet and penetrating.
I make them offerings of food, hard and soft.
I make them offerings of food, hard and soft.
And pleasing kinds of liquids to drink.
And pleasing kinds of liquids to drink.
I offer them lamps encrusted with jewels.
I offer them lamps encrusted with jewels.
Festooned with golden lotus.
Festooned with golden lotus.
On the paving sprinkled with perfume.
On the paving sprinkled with perfumes.
I scatter handfuls of beautiful flowers.
I scatter handfuls of beautiful flowers.
Salutation. As many atoms as there are.
As many atoms as there are.
In the 1,000 million worlds.
In the 1,000 million worlds.
So many times I make reverent salutation.
So many times I make reverent
To
salutations.
all the Buddhas of the 3 eras.
To all the Buddhas of the 3 eras.
To the Siddharma.
To the Siddharma.
And to the excellent community.
And to the excellent community.
I pay homage to all the shrines.
I pay homage to all the
And
shrines.
places in which the Bodhisattvas have been.
And places in which the Bodhisattvas have been.
I make profound obeisance to the teachers.
I make profound obeisance to the teachers.
And those to whom respectful salutation is due.
And those to whom respectful salutation is due.
Going for refuge. This very day,
This very day,
I go for my refuge.
I go for my refuge.
To the powerful protectors.
To the powerful
Whose
protectors.
purpose is to guard the universe.
Whose purpose is to guard the universe.
The mighty conquerors who overcome suffering everywhere.
The mighty conquerors who overcome suffering everywhere.
Wholeheartedly also I take my refuge.
Wholeheartedly also I take my
In
refuge.
the Dharma they have ascertained,
In the Dharma they have ascertained,
which is the abode of security against the rounds of rebirth.
which is the abode of security against the rounds of rebirth.
Likewise in the host of Bodhisattvas,
Likewise in the host of
I
Bodhisattvas,
take my refuge.
I take my refuge.
Confession of faults. The evil that I have heaped up
The evil that I have heaped up
through my ignorance and foolishness,
through my ignorance and foolishness,
evil in the world of everyday experience,
evil in the world of everyday experience,
as well as evil in understanding and intelligence.
as well as evil in understanding and intelligence.
All that I acknowledge to the protectors,
All that I acknowledge to the protectors,
standing before them,
standing before them,
with hands raised in reverence,
with hands raised in reverence,
and terrified of suffering.
and terrified of suffering.
I pay salutations again and again.
I pay salutations again and again.
May the leaders receive this kindly,
May the leaders receive this kindly,
just as it is with its many faults.
just as it is with its many faults.
What is not good, O protectors,
What is not good, O protectors,
I shall not do again.
I shall not do again.
Rejoicing in merit. I rejoice with delight
I rejoice with delight
in the good done by all beings,
in the good done by all beings,
through which they obtain rest,
through which they obtain rest,
with the end of suffering.
with the end of suffering.
May those who have suffered be happy.
May those who have suffered be happy.
I rejoice in the release of beings,
I rejoice in the release of beings
from the sufferings of the rounds of existence.
from the sufferings of the rounds of existence.
I rejoice in the nature of the Bodhisattva
I rejoice in the nature of the Bodhisattva
and the Buddha,
and the Buddha,
who are protectors.
who are protectors.
I rejoice in the arising of the will to enlightenment
I rejoice in the arising of the will to enlightenment
and the teaching,
and the teaching,
those oceans that bring happiness to all beings
those oceans that bring happiness to all beings,
and are the abode of welfare of all beings.
and are the abode of welfare of all beings.
Entreaty and supplication. Saluting them with folded hands,
Saluting them with folded hands,
I entreat the Buddhas in all the quarters.
I entreat the Buddhas in all the quarters.
May they make shine the lamp of the Dharma.
May they make shine the lamp of the Dharma.
For those wandering in the suffering of delusion,
For those wandering in the suffering of delusion,
with hands folded in reverence,
with hands folded in reverence,
I implore the conquerors desiring to enter nirvana.
I implore the conquerors desiring to enter nirvana.
May they remain here for endless ages,
May they remain here for endless ages,
so that life in this world does not grow dark.
so that life in this world does not grow dark.
The Heart Sutra. The Bodhisattva of compassion, when he meditated deeply, saw the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and sundered the bonds that caused him suffering. Here then, form is no other than emptiness. Emptiness, no other than form. Form is only emptiness. Emptiness, only form. Feeling, thought and choice, consciousness itself, are the same as this. All things are by nature void. They are not born or destroyed, nor are they stained or pure, nor do they wax or wane. So, in emptiness, no form, no feeling, thought or choice, nor is there consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no colour, sound, smell, taste, touch, or what the mind takes hold of, nor even act of sensing. No ignorance or end of it, nor all that comes of ignorance, no withering, no death, no end of them. Nor is there pain, or cause of pain, or cease in pain, or noble path to lead from pain, not even wisdom to attain. Attainment too is emptiness. So know that the Bodhisattva, holding to nothing whatever, but dwelling in prajna wisdom, is freed of delusive hindrance, rid of the fear bred by it, and reaches clearest nirvana. All Buddhas of past and present, Buddhas of future time, using this prajna wisdom, come to full and perfect vision. Hear then the great Dharani, the radiant, peerless mantra, the prajna paramita, whose words allay all pain. Hear and believe its truth. Gate gate paragate, Parasangate bodhiswa. Gate gate paragate. Parasangate bodhiswa. Gate gate paragate. Parasangate bodhiswa. Transference of merit and self-surrender. May the merit gained.
May the merit gained
In my acting thus.
in my acting thus
Go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings.
go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings.
My personality throughout my existences.
My personality throughout my existences.
My possessions.
My possessions.
And my merit in all three ways.
And my merit in all three ways.
I give up without regard to myself.
I give up without regard to myself.
For the benefit of all beings.
For the benefit of all beings.
Just as the earth and other elements.
Just as the earth and other elements
Are serviceable in many ways.
are serviceable in many ways.
To the infinite number of beings.
To the infinite number of beings.
Inhabiting limitless space.
Inhabiting limitless space.
So may I become.
So may I become.
That which maintains all beings.
That which maintains all beings.
Situated throughout space.
Situated throughout space.
So long as all have not attained.
So long as all have not attained
To peace.
to peace.
Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong.
Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Ahong Vajraguru Padma Om Ahom Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Om. 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 Om Ahom Vajraguru Padma Siddhi